WikiLeaks may be the biggest information explosion this week, but Wednesday's mammoth release of documents pertaining to the Fed's bank bailout program could well spark the most outrage, at least among those of us not fortunate enough to head a Wall Street firm. The Federal Reserve, we all know, floated cash all over the place in the cold months of 2008 and 2009, but not just to Wall Street. Apparently, Harley-Davidson and Verizon were also too big to fail. And the government purchase of commercial paper, very short-term loans to businesses to help them meet cash-on-hand obligations, is the new news story in this report. 21,000 commercial loan records have also been released under the new financial regulatory legislation. Some of the biggest users of the Fed's expanded lending, it turns out, were Goldman Sachs, who claimed they didn't need government assistance. Goldman hit up the Fed 84 times, borrowing nearly $600 billion. GE, parent company of NBC, got $16 billion from the Fed. All this, let us remember, while credit for the rest of us was frozen over. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, who wrote the provisions that required these disclosures, notes that the Fed could have forced the companies they helped to restrict executive pay or lighten the burden on mortgage holders, but they didn't. Instead, the Fed loaned out trillions while families lost their homes. $3.3 trillion to be exact, in taxpayer dollars, some of it going to private banks abroad, while 500,000 Americans were losing their jobs every month. Did Congress authorize our Fed to become the world's private banker? That's a question voters have a right to ask their politicians. While the GOP's out there grandstanding about shutting government if they don't get tax breaks for the super wealthy, it just may be there's a message on which actual voters, from the Tea Party to the Bloc Party, can agree. And that's this: Dear Congress, you know what? Go ahead and shut until you can prove that you're doing as much for us as you've done for a group of enormously powerful people who today, in many instances, are making even more money than they did before they were bailed out by taxpayers.